Over the last few years, Xbox Summer of Arcade has offered some of the best of bite-sized gaming, from the likes of Braid, Castle Crashers, Explosion Man, Bastion, and this year, Dust and Elysium Tale. I recently picked up Dust after my PlayStation got stolen, which in hand has delayed my XCOM review. I'd heard good things about this game's development history though, and how everything was created by just one person. The only other contributors for this game was by the voice actors and music. From a 3 months development window for Xbox Live Indie section, to a 3-year investment by Microsoft Studio after winning a competition set up by them, we finally got Dust this year in 2012. Was the wait worth it for this game, or has it turned into one of the many black sheeps of the Summer of Arcade?
Our world has fallen to fade. Its great works long since complete, its storied civilizations long since fallen to dust. The greatest legends of Elysium long since forgotten. What was once a land of promise has fallen to the ravages of war. And it was in this, our most desperate hour, that the greatest of Elysian tales began.
The story begins with Dust, who wakes up in the forest with a mild condition of video game amnesia. He can't remember who or what he has done. While in this daze of not knowing who he is, a flying-speaking sword named Ara finds him as part of destiny, and it's chatty Nimbat guardian Fidget who chased the sword to Dust. Ara seems to know who and what Dust is, but won't tell him. He must discover it for himself. This begins Dust's journey of discovery and what this so-called destiny is. It's a classic video game trope, but it works well here. Each of the characters are fully fleshed out and enjoy breaking the fourth wall, especially during the tutorial part of the game. It's been well written and there is a lot of tugs on your heartstring during it, but with its cartoon visuals it comes across cheesy to some people, but it adds to the overall charm of this game.
Now rise and claim the blade of Ara.
Stop right there!
And who is she?
Me? I'm Fidget, guardian of his sword.
No offense, but aren't you a bit, well, small? For a guardian, I mean.
Hey, I just look after that thing. After 200 years, nobody expects the sword to just fly off and start, talking. I'm kind of wishing somebody told me this was part of the job description. Or maybe they did, and I just wasn't paying attention. Yeah, that happens sometimes.
Dust is a 2D action-adventure game spread across 6 chapters. These contain different areas to explore, new monsters to slay, and hazardous traps to avoid. Each area harkens back to games such as Metroid and Castlevania Symphony of the Night, with its world structure. You come across pathways you can't access yet until you gain new abilities such as sliding and wall climbing. There are a couple of towns you'll encounter on your journey as well, with quests to undertake by the strange folks who inhabit this world, from finding mystery boxes to achieving 1000 hit combos. These extend the gameplay to a good few hours and offer minor upgrades to your characters that you will soon replace. When you're not exploring the world, you'll be killing lots of monsters. You gain experience for this, and every time you level up, you gain upgrades to your character's stats, from attack to defense to magic and maximum health. It's a simple and easy system and helpful at the start of the game to give you equal footing with the enemies. However, it becomes quite irrelevant later on, with being quite overpowered on the normal difficulty. There is an inventory system as well that offers more customization to Dust. You'll be finding equipment through chests, monsters, quests, and eventually you'll be able to create your own through the blacksmith. To make stuff with the blacksmith, you'll need to find materials monsters drop in the world. This could be a very grindy game, but you can actually sell one of the materials you find to a certain vendor. Once you do, he will start stocking this in his shop. It's super helpful not having to grind these things, but can take away the achievement of putting the effort into making the powerful gear. It's a very streamlined game with lots of interesting RPG mechanics, but later falls flat because you've reached a level where it all becomes trivial.
What's all this?
These flags are a warning. The area up ahead is among the most dangerous of places. Death will come swiftly if you are not prepared.
Think we should go in?
I certainly hope you save.
Dust is a flashy, fast-paced action game with lots of monsters on the screen trying to kill you. However, Dust isn't a slouch in combat and is particularly deadly. You can perform basic combos with the X button, spin your sword with the Y button, and Fidget, your Nimbat companion, will find magical projectiles with his B button. Each quite powerful by themselves, but are even more deadly when combined. If you start using the spin attack and tell Fidget to cast magic into it, you can cause multiple projectiles to spawn out of your spin attack. These cover the screen and obliterate your enemy, and you will depend on this combo the most in this this game. It's a lot of fun at the start, but eventually becomes very repetitive, especially since you'll only unlock 2 more magical abilities for Fidget, and your combo attacks are the same from the beginning to the end. The only difference is the amount of damage you dish out to the enemy after leveling up. Your ability to dodge and spin around the screen is super helpful, and the monsters aren't no pushover when it comes to combat. You'll need to parry attacks to knock their defenses out, to stopping mages from resurrecting monsters to overwhelm you. This is generally the only way you will die in Dust. Too many monsters to handle, or jumping into environmental hazards such as avalanches, lava, poison mushrooms, etc, etc. It is however a joy to watch through monsters flying around the screen and using your small arsenal to defeat big packs of monsters. Boss fights on the other hand aren't that fun though. With how powerful Dust is in 1v1 combat, the bosses don't stand a chance. If they try to escape to cast range spells, you're on them in a second, and if they try to counter your attacks, you can hold the X button to just parry it. The only danger in these fights are the environmental hazards again, after being knocked into one or misjudging your jumps. All in all, the combat is a lot of fun, but by the end of the game, you'll find it tedious since new enemy types don't offer any challenge. At least it's a joy to watch you obliterate squadrons of monsters on the screen.
Did you see something move up ahead? I saw something move.
Fidget, you need to calm down. I thought you said you weren't afraid of the dark.
I'm not afraid of the dark. I'm afraid of the things in the dark.
I don't see anything, Fidget.
How could you possibly see anything in here with that big hat over your eyes? I hate caves. Our kind isn't meant to be underground. We should be soaring high in the wide open sky.
I thought you were afraid of heights.
Oh, hush.
For one person to design this whole game is very hard to believe. It's visually stunning with its hand-drawn backgrounds, foregrounds and characters. They do not feel out of place and work well with each other. Characters are basically humanised animals and have more emotion than most real 3D games with its cartoon looks. But for hardened COD and Halo fanboys, I could see a lot of them being put off by this. But this game wasn't designed for them. The voice work that's been brought in to help on this game did a great job as well. Each character is believable and you will come to love the brooding Dust with his dark sense of humour, to Fidget who is a highlight to the overall cast. The music also amplifies the overall feel of each area you'll be exploring, and the climactic piece at the end really gets you pumped up for the final boss fight. The summer of arcade has shown us that indeed developers are worth watching, and Dust, the Elysium tale, has surpassed my expectations. A lot of blood and sweat has been poured into this, and you should experience this 5 to 8 hour story yourself. From its polished visuals, amazing soundcast and quite fast paced action, this may be worth picking up over the next few months where game releases start to stagnate. Dust is a 2D tutorial.